They sent one of their own to the house where the three men were staying. He approached the house but did not knock on the door. He stood outside to listen to what they were saying inside. At that time the three guests were speaking to the householder. The holy neo-martyrs Lampros, Theodore, and a third one, whose name we do not know, came from the Peloponnese. They were engaged in commerce. For professional reasons they stayed for a considerable time in Ioannina. There they learned to speak the Albanian dialect as well. In 1786 they decided to return to their homeland. They began their journey and arrived at Vrahori, which today is called Agrinio. They decided to spend the night there. At the entrance of the city stood the tax collectors. They were collecting the poll tax that Christians paid. The three merchants thought to pretend to be Muslims, thus they would avoid the tax. Passing through the guard post, they greeted with the Muslim salutation. They said Salam alaikum. The tax collectors took them for Muslim Arvanites. They let them pass freely. The three men went to a house. They would spend the night there and the next day would continue to their homeland. The Turks wanted to know where the strangers had lodged. They also wanted to hear news from Ioannina. They sent one of their own to the house where the three men were staying. He approached the house but did not knock on the door. He stood outside to listen to what they were saying inside. At that time the three guests were speaking to the householder. They were telling him that with one salam they avoided the tax. The Turk understood that they were Christians. He immediately ran to report it. The impious ones attacked like wild beasts. They seized the three men and dragging them took them to the court. They accused the three Christians before the judge. They said that they had greeted them with Salam alaikum. They had done this while being Orthodox Christians. They had to be interrogated. Either they had mocked the faith and had to be punished, or they had embraced Islam and had to be circumcised. The judge asked them if all this was true. The holy martyrs answered with sincerity. They admitted that they greeted in Turkish to avoid the tax. However, they clarified that they did not embrace Islam. The judge told them that they had to become Turks. Thus they would save their lives. Otherwise they would be tortured and put to death. The saints answered with courage. They said the word to save money, but to deny their faith was impossible. The judge ordered them to be beaten mercilessly. They locked them in prison. There in prison one comforted the other. The literate one encouraged them. He told them not to be cowardly and lose this gift. They would endure a little and would gain eternal life. They remained fasting for many days. They brought them again to the judge. Again they interrogated them and beat them. They returned them to prison. After 5 days they led them again to the court. The Musellim and the Qadi agreed. They issued the condemnatory sentence. The executioners took them and hanged them at 3 different points of the city. Thus the thrice blessed martyrs received the crown of martyrdom from the Lord.